Kyle was compared to Marshawn Lynch unfairly or fairly last night. He got a chance to answer the calls again today, and he said that he thinks he handled it the right way. Do you expect more out of your star players in a post-game scrum?
Well, he's a man. I mean, he just, he speaks what he has to say. I can't tell players what to say and what not to say. Our guys here, you have some of the best in the league with this team, and so I don't know if it was emotion at the moment. I didn't see it, didn't hear it, but I trust our players, and they understand. You guys have a job to do. We have a job to do. Also, there's times and emotions involved that we all have to understand that right after a game, I may say some crazy stuff, and players may say crazy stuff that, that's I've got to do a better job of controlling my emotions after the game, because before you watch a tape or watch a film, you always say, oh man, we played so bad, played so terrible. Our second unit played some of the best defense we played all year. They held that team last night to 15%, 9 points in the fourth quarter. So, before you say how bad we played or, react to how you thought you played, you wish you could watch the tape, but you don't have that. So I think every once in a while we have to, excuse us, from going crazy or whatever in the media. After a game, a heated, contested game, we didn't play that well, especially the starters. And so, and you're going to have nights like that. But I trust our players. They're first class. Every player on this team are first class kids, and usually handle the media in the right way.
Does that second unit, do they push the first unit now, or are they pushing them? I mean, that's what you want, but
yeah, the hard thing, Michael, is we just don't have a lot of practice time for them to push them in practice. They did a heck of a job last night of getting us back into the game, and it's probably on me to hey, look, let's slow those three-point shots down some. They shot 10 threes. We were 2 for 10. Once we got it to a 75-75 game, now, hey, let's start driving the ball more. And I thought we did say that during the timeout, but a lot of times you get caught up in the heat of the game. At that time is when you've got to change your gears, slow your roll, try to start thinking like the game is 0-0 again. And that's very hard to do once that adrenaline starts pumping and going to lay off some of those three-point shots that you normally make. Lou normally makes those shots, but last night he wasn't. That's when you got to get in there and make some sweat shots.
The way that fourth quarter went, I don't think I've ever seen a quarter all year where DeMar didn't hit the floor but I mean, I understand because, your second unit was doing so good, but that must have been hard to keep those two out.
That's one of the hardest decisions a coach has to make. When the first unit doesn't have it going, the second unit comes in and really is popping and moving defensively, getting stops and that type of thing. Had trouble scoring, that was the biggest issue. Had no issue with our energy on both ends. Even when they were playing offense, they were cutting hard, moving, and that type of thing. But the hardest thing to do you put Kyle back in? Do you put DeMar back in? Do you put JV back in? Those are tough decisions when those guys have earned the right to finish this game out and do it the right way. But from a coach's standpoint, do you get fresh legs back in? And we talked about it as a staff, and we decided to let that unit roll. They put themselves in a position for us to get a win last night. So,
talking about the fourth quarters generally, not just last night. I mean, JV sat the entire fourth quarter last night. This has happened a few times this season. Could you explain just in very basic terms how you decide?
Very basic terms is usually if we're scrambling, double teaming, trying to get back defensively, trying to play fast. In those situations, JV's not in the game. Last night we gave up a couple of threes just because we were slow from one of our bigs to get out to rotate. When they're playing Dudley, who's usually a three-man at the four, in that situation, we needed to get faster in our rotations, and we did that with Tyler and Pat. No disrespect to JV. If I had Tyson Chandler in there, probably wouldn't be in the game. So it's no disrespect. It's just a style of play. Now, the other end, if JV's dominating offensively in that situation, you probably would keep him in. But again, our issues were we needed energy, we needed speed, we needed something to get us going in our rotations more, and it's just not his attribute. It's not one of his assets that he has, and it's nothing against him. It could be anybody. I think that's something that you establish, and unfortunately we've been in those situations a lot in the fourth quarter where we needed some speed on the floor or going small, and Amir and Pat, or a Pat and last night it was Tyler, gave us that defensive energy we needed.
Does he get frustrated? I mean, like as a player, you want to be on the court.
I agree. I agree, and that's where his next evolution as a player is to be able to rotate out to the three-point line and do that. That's going to be his next thing, is to be able to rotate, move his feet, guard smaller players on the perimeter when in our rotations if we have to do that.
How do you work on that as a player? Is that something that you can practice, or is that something during the summer that you have to?
It's a summertime thing you can do. Play a lot of one-on-one with smaller players, guards. There's very few big guys in the league that can do that. That if you're playing a rotation game, you're trapping, you're blitzing, and that type of thing. There's very few big guys in this league that can do that, and there's no disrespect to JV. It's not just JV. I want to bring me some names around the league that are big men that can go out, and if you're trapping and blitzing and trying to play up tempo, they can do that.
This question might be unanswerable, so I apologize in advance. You mentioned if JV was dominating, that he would stay on the floor maybe in that situation. How do you draw the line between performing well and dominating? Because last night he was the only guy really doing it.
And I agree. Last night was one time I did question whether he should be in there with Tyler instead of Tyler. But I would also argue, too, Tyler was a big reason our pick-and-roll defense was so good, our scramble defense was so good. So that was a hard decision last night. Usually in that situation, we are small, we are trapping, we're in a situation where we do need stops. But that was last night one area where when we needed offense that, hey, when it got 75-75, do you put JV back in there? Again, it's easy to stand here right now and question. After the game, it's easy to question. But in the heat of battle, I'm looking at Tyler. He's busting his behind, rebounding, doing what he's supposed to do when we weren't getting that from the first unit.
I spoke to Pat a few games ago about what it's like to play with JV versus the other big men, and he pointed out that sort of everybody except for JV is more aggressive on pick and roll, and he tends to hang back. What do you see from the other bigs learning to play with his different style, maybe?
I think it's more the guards need him more than it's JV. They need help from the big, being there in body, showing, impacting the ball, and we need help. In our schemes, the guards need help in that situation to help cover for them and help cover when the guards turn the corner, more so than it is. So that's why it's more important that bigs in there that can move his feet, that can guard a perimeter guy. If the guard gets knocked off, he can contain him long enough for the guard to get back. So it's a two-edged sword. It's not just our big guys; it's our perimeter guys too.
Will JV ever be the guy that's at the end of the game?
I think he can, Rachel. I think he can someday definitely be there in the game. And one thing too, somebody asked, is something he can develop is because he's better this year than Way was before his first couple of years in the league of guarding perimeter guys, staying in front, staying down in the stands, and he's getting better. Is he there yet? No. But also there's other areas other players are not as good at. But he's going to get there. We all want him to be that guy today, tomorrow, yesterday, and it just doesn't happen in this league. Again, I want him to be that too. But there's no magic wand. The only thing that you can do is time. He's a great kid. He's going to be a great player in this league someday. But, we want him to be that 20, 15, 25, and 15 guy right now, and he's not there yet in the big picture of things. But I love the way he's competing. He does a good job in certain matchups in the game. Tomorrow night's going to be a great challenge for him to guard a guy like Lopez. So again, it's always something that you got to go through before you get where you need to go.
How nice was it to get back in here again today, having not had a real practice in a while?
Well, it's been great. I mean, that's been our biggest. And I look at the schedule. You look at the All-Star break. You get days off. We were off from the arena, during Christmas for a long period of time because of the hockey tournament. With that comes squeezed practice time back here at home, and that is an issue. But I look at a lot of teams are having practice issues now and not having practice time. You got the mandatory Players Association days you got to take off. So the number of years in the league have come to a point where there's less and less and less practice time, which, you're trying to grow and you're trying to get better, it makes it even more difficult.
So what do you focus on in practice the day after a game?
Well, a little bit of last night and a little bit of what we want to do tomorrow night. We looked at some film of what we did last night, what we didn't do last night, and the difference in the speed of the game, how we were cutting, how sharp we were in the Brooklyn game, the Washington game, and how we weren't sharp last night. And it wasn't like guys weren't trying. It's just one of those games that, you had that blank look. They were running in mud, so to speak, and we got to snap out of it. And, we got 4 games at home. We got to take care of business.